Everyone has their reasons, even the bad guys. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 video game villains with tragic backstories. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at characters that are regarded as antagonists, but who have had horrific pasts that explain why they fell into their villainous roles. With that in mind, be aware that everything on this list is a potential spoiler, so spoiler alert.
Please, make yourselves at home. There's no rush.
Number 10, Loghain, Dragon Age Origins.
What about the king? Should we not?
Do as I command.
After losing his beloved friend, the last king of Ferelden, Loghain vowed to do whatever was necessary to protect the kingdom. It just so happens that the same sense of duty would lead him to make the ultimate dick move during the Battle of Ostagar, leading to the slaughter of the Grey Wardens as well as the new king at the hands of the Darkspawn. If that wasn't enough, he brands the surviving wardens, the player, as traitors and orders them to be hunted down. We can appreciate wanting to do whatever it takes to defeat the Blight, and the fact that the new king was nothing compared to your old buddy, but you're still guilty as sin in our eyes, Loghain.
Let us end this. I suppose we both knew it would come to this.
Number 9, Seymour, Final Fantasy X.
Protect the summoner even at the cost of one's life. The Code of the Guardian. How admirable.
We all know that life can be unkind, and for this particular summoner, that's definitely no exception. After the trauma of watching his mother get turned into a faith, Seymour pretty much decided that living is nothing but sorrow, and that all should be freed from its torment. In order to do so, he hatches up a scheme to become the new Sin, a terrifying force that has caused nothing but destruction for the people of F.e.a.r. Except his interpretation would be a lot more permanent and on a much grander scale.
He was not satisfied with my Aeon. He wanted more power.
It's easy to sympathize with his plight until he starts seeing murder as a gift, and then you know he's kind of crossed the line. That and the whole using Yuna via marriage. Totally not cool, dude.
He asked me to marry him.
You serious?
Number 8, Scott Shelby, Heavy Rain. As the Origami Killer, hey, we warned you about spoilers, he was responsible for the deaths of countless fathers and sons, using his position as a private detective in order to cover his tracks. However, it's not like this madness came from nowhere. It turns out that due to the failing of his own father, Shelby watched his brother drown before his eyes.
Don't forget about this guy.
That's not to say it excuses all the people he killed or the ridiculous trials he has Ethan do in order to prove his worth, but at least we know the origin of his psychosis. Though we're still kind of unsure about how forcing Ethan to cut off his finger proved that he was a good dad, but whatever. Number 7, Raul Menedez, Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Opulence is sinful and we all pay for it.
The Messiah of the 99% is indeed a dangerous individual, not only for his ability to cripple the defenses of the United States with relative ease, but also for how he's able to motivate the populations of the world over to his side with just charisma alone. Bombings in his own country by the US, as well as feeling the sting of American greed firsthand, twisted Menendez towards his hatred for the Western world. But what pushed him over the edge was the reckless actions of Frank Woods, which caused the death of his sister. After losing everything they love, some men just want to watch the world burn.
Thank you, David. Help me seek a newer world.
Number 6, Sarah Kerrigan, StarCraft series.
This is Kerrigan. We've neutralized the Protoss, but there's a wave of Zerg advancing on this position.
Born from betrayal, bound by vengeance. As a Terran ghost, Kerrigan was one of the best agents that humanity had on their side against the interstellar threat known as the Zerg, until the day her commanding officer left her to die on the battlefield. Instead of being ripped to pieces, she suffered a much worse fate and was turned into a Zerg hybrid. As the Queen of Blades, Kerrigan was consumed by fury and destroyed millions of lives across entire systems. While she would later go on and try to redeem herself, revenge remained her one true calling. Despite all the death that she caused, Kerrigan is above all else a character of tragedy.
Thank you, Jim. For everything.
Number 5, Alma Wade, F.e.a.r series. Whatever innocence this child might have had was snatched from her when she was taken in by the Armacam Technology Corporation, who wanted to find a way to turn her incredible psychic abilities towards profit. In order to do so, she was constantly experimented on with no regard for her well-being. Imprisoned, clinically tortured, even surgically made pregnant twice before eventually dying nearly 20 years later. When her psychic consciousness finds a way to manifest itself, is it any surprise that after such a horrendous life, she tears apart anyone she comes across? Well, we'd be at least a bit pissed off. Number 4, Sif, Dark Souls. It's like a giant puppy. Of course we're gonna feel awful about cutting down such a huge ball of fur. Unlike the other grotesque bosses of the Souls mythos, Great Grey Wolf Sif is the only one you have sympathy for, especially when it starts to limp after taking so much damage. Kinda like a real dog would. Things are made infinitely worse if you happen to have the DLC, where you end up traveling to the past and encountering a much younger Sif. Should this happen, there's the added cutscene just before you fight the adult version where it actually recognizes you, but still regretfully engages you in a boss fight. Huh, now we feel like the monster. Number 3, The Boss, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater.
I raised you. I loved you. I've given you weapons, taught you techniques, endowed you with knowledge.
In order to complete his mission, Snake had to take out the one person he respected more than any other, his mentor. As a legendary soldier in her own right, the boss made for quite the opponent, not to mention giving us an emotional final scene where players actually had to pull the trigger and end her life. Then came one of gaming's most heart-wrenching twists, where it's revealed that the boss was in fact not actually a traitor, but that in order to protect the United States, she voluntarily took on the role of a traitor and war criminal, knowing that it would lead to her death. A true patriot to the end, all Snake can do now is salute her tombstone.
She was a true patriot.
Number 2, GLaDOS, Portal series.
Yes, sir, Mr. Johnson. Why did I just... Who is that? What the hell is going on here?
She made for one of the most terrifying yet morbidly hilarious villains to ever grace video games, having put players through one experiment after another, all for her seemingly twisted enjoyment. However, as we learned later on, GLaDOS was once a human known as Caroline, an assistant to the founder of the Aperture Science Facility, Cave Johnson. She then, possibly against her will, was uploaded as an AI and reborn as GLaDOS. And the demand for experimentation slowly twisted her into the nihilistic and witty villain we all know and fear. Following this revelation, we can't help but start to feel sorry for her. Nowhere is this better shown than when GLaDOS deletes her last remnants of her old self, destroying her humanity entirely.
You know, deleting Carolyn just now taught me a valuable lesson. The best solution to a problem is usually the easiest one.
Number 1, Lisa Trevor, Resident Evil Remake. The remake of the granddaddy of survival horror games not only provided a new level of polish to the more campy aspects of the original, but also added several features that truly made the likes of the Mansion and the Umbrella Corporation feel like the worst monsters of them all. Abducted as a teenager in the early 1950s, Lisa became a human test subject for Umbrella, eventually mutating into a near invulnerable creature due to decades of brutal biological experimentation. She definitely scared the living daylights out of us, but above all else, her existence in and of itself is one big tragedy, one that finally came to an end with a bittersweet reunion with her mother. Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.